Ohana means family. Not a bad Stitch impression if I say so myself. I'm Akeem Kidder and welcome to Yarn Painting with the Yarn Art Guy. They say go big or go home. Good thing I'm already at my house because today we're going small. I'm gonna make a yarn painting on a mini canvas. Why? Because as the yarn art guy, I love challenging myself. And one of the best ways to do that is with a mini canvas. With my craft, working small means there's no place to hide. Every individual piece of yarn that is glued onto the canvas needs to be placed precisely. Every movement matters. Even the smallest mistake can really pop off the canvas. Using a smaller canvas is like a creative workout, forcing your mind to slow down and be more intentional with each movement, challenging yourself to solve problems with a smaller space. And I believe that the more you work on smaller canvases, the better the bigger pieces turn out. I'm practicing precision. So today, this little guy is gonna give me a big challenge. I love working on pieces that are inspired by the seasons. My last piece was a sunset on a warm summer's day. So today, we're gonna be working on autumn. Fall is just one of those seasons that feels warm and nostalgic. Maybe it's because my birthday is in the fall, but it just makes me happy. That's why this piece, inspired by autumn, is gonna take me to the happiest place on earth, Disney World. Come with me as I show you my process to create Stitch on a pumpkin. Stitch is the perfect combination of chaos and heart that I really feel is encaptured by yarn painting. And Stitch, that's a quality yarn pun. So let's start with setting up my workstation. I use a hot glue gun to stick yarn onto canvases. I got a giant collection of colors, so we're gonna grab some shades of blue, some light, medium, dark to play with the contrast, and some bright warm oranges. Playing with tone is a great way to portray depth on a small canvas. Yarn is similar to paint, but instead of brushstrokes, we have textures. Instead of blending colors together, you have to transition through colors. So let me show you how it's done. When I start a new piece, I like to do a quick sketch. It doesn't have to be a perfect drawing, it's just a guideline for where the colors go. I want to make sure that the proportions are right before I glue yarn onto the canvas, because once it's stuck, there's no going back. Yarn painting is a process that takes patience. It's not like I have a canvas that's fully sticky. I have a glue gun and I intentionally place each strand of yarn. Throughout this video, I'll show you how it's done and give you some tips and tricks if you ever want to try it out. Some sections will be sped up and I'll jump forward a lot, but that's only because a piece of this size can take me up to 2 hours to finish. And I know that you have your own crafting to get back to. I like to start on one side of the canvas and work my way to the other side. This is how I avoid getting glue gun strands sticking to the new pieces of yarn. If you want to start yarn painting, I suggest starting with cold glue because hot glue guns are a dangerous game that takes some practice. It's what I chose to do because, as you can see in this piece, it allows for more playful, controlled curves of the yarn. I enjoy this unique craft because I feel like the skills you need to do it transfer well to day-to-day life. You need to be patient, take some risks, and try to have fun. And when you find yourself in a sticky situation, staying positive can make sure that you come out of it with something great to show for it. Also, the patience you learn through yarn painting teaches you to trust the process. When you start something new, you might not think that it's coming together the way you want, but it's important to take the time, take a breath, step back, and trust the process. And trust that the end result will show itself clearly. An important tool to have when yarn painting is a sharp pair of scissors. This gives you full control of how each piece of yarn looks and helps avoid pulling on the yarn that's already stuck to the canvas. As I continue working on the stitch piece, you'll notice that the most important part is the eyes. If you've seen my work before, you know that my favorite pieces are portraits of celebrities and portraits of your pets. And I know that I've done it right if the eyes really speak to me. Even though Stitch is a cartoon, the same point stands. If a creature has a soul, it's captured in the eyes. So taking the time to do this part properly is super important. Everything from the flow of the yarn to the number of strands placed play a role in the emotion that the creature is giving. If the angle of the eyebrows are too sharp, then he looks angry. If they're too rounded, he might look too worried. And with such a small canvas, the slightest difference in angle changes everything. So as I glue and twist and turn, I'm being very cautious of what it might look like at the end. When yarn painting, choosing the type of yarn that you use is very important. I like to use simple acrylic yarn with medium thickness so that I have full control of the movements and minimal frilling of the yarn. This is what you will most commonly see in my pieces because I feel like this type of yarn best resembles paint when you look at it from afar. But as I continue to grow and challenge myself with my craft, you'll notice that I sometimes use more natural fibers like wool or alpaca for things like hair or fur. And I use more synthetic fibers like nylons or blends if I'm ever working on an image where the character is wearing clothes. Playing with the different types of fiber allows for different effects on your yarn painting. Though this might be a long process, I found it to be very therapeutic. So I would love for you to give it a try and let me know what you think. Is yarn painting something that interests you? Even if it might not be your thing, I hope it inspires you to think outside of the box when crafting and try something that you might not have thought of before. Try to get outside of your comfort zone to create something different. And after all that, here is the final product. The most important part about creating new artwork isn't so much how it looks, but the fact that it exists. When you create something, be proud of yourself. You made something that wouldn't exist without you. Remember, you don't need permission to be creative. You don't need the perfect tools. You don't always need to follow guidelines. You don't need to make something huge and extravagant. Start small. Start today, make something because you want to. And I promise it'll be cool to see something that was once in your imagination become reality. If this kind of craft inspires or interests you, make sure to check me out on Instagram for more daily content. And if you're looking to support what I do, check out yarnartguy.com. I have everything from prints, merch, and original yarn paintings. So I hope to see you next time, and remember, stay creative.